Well, folks, we have a jam-packed video for today. A bunch of stories coming over here, including some stuff with a launch trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which launched on Switch 2 today. We have some Metroid Prime 4 stuff we got to get into, some consumer spending on Black Friday, and whereabouts the Nintendo Switch 2 ranked in that frenzy. We also have another look at Elden Ring, which has been delayed for Switch 2 to next year. We have a look at some of the upgrades for Red Dead Redemption for Nintendo Switch 1. Yes, some folks appear to be a little bit upset about the way it is on PlayStation 5, but we aren't worried about that over here. We're talking about Nintendo Switch 2. Beyond all of that, we have a surprise update coming for Dragon Drive and then how you can trigger that update, along with a brand new trailer for the Dimensions DLC for Legends EA. Now, before we dive in, I want to remind you we are on our road to 170,000 subscribers. So I would really appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel if you want to see the latest Nintendo news and my thoughts on it, as well as the Nintendo Byte podcast every Wednesday night. Beyond all of that, we are giving away 3 copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. You can enter through the link down in the pinned comment or the description. And let's go ahead and get into this first one here. And this deals with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, this has already been sort of examined by many. It basically looks visually very impressive, but on Switch 2 in particular, but it doesn't really run consistently at 30 FPS. It's kind of been the big bugaboo here. It's not unplayable and it's not like crazy terrible based on some of the frame rate testing we've seen out there, but it doesn't run quite as well as Star Wars Outlaws. Now, it is using a different engine. Outlaws is using what engine was Outlaws using? Their newer one. I know that this one's running on Anvil is what I'm trying to say. Is like it's not the same engine as the one being ran on Star Wars Outlaws, even though they're both made by Ubisoft. That said, it's a perfectly playable experience, and everyone who has done the testing on this has said, hey, this is definitely passable. In fact, more than passable for a portable handheld experience. Obviously, you know, when you're playing in dock mode, it's always going to be better to play on a traditional home console. But yeah, lots of joy to be found here. It's available right now. Now, let's gotta dive into our next story here. And this one deals with just consumer spending on Black Friday and where Switch 2 ranks. So as we go on here, say U.S. consumers spend $8.6 billion online on Black Friday, up 9.4%. As you scroll down here, though, you can see some of the hot items are, yes, people were buying some generative AI, mobile domination, all of this stuff. But really, if we go up here and we type in Switch 2 in the search and we search for it, we'll see this statement here. The top 15 hot sellers, and this is not ranked in order on Black Friday so far, include televisions, so TVs, Switch 2, Apple AirPods 4, Aura Ring, e-readers, kitchen storage and Tupperware, jewelry, gift cards, Fisher Price, and the Learn DJ table, plush toys, fragrance sets, KitchenAid stand mixer, washer and dryers, which, yes, it is the cheapest time of year to buy those, bicycles, and basketball hoops. So Switch 2 is among one of the top 15 most popular items on Black Friday. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty much the only stat we get there. Of course, we don't get any exact sales figures or any money or anything, but it is just noteworthy. You know what's also noteworthy? How about the fact that Elden Ring Tarnished Edition appeared at a recent event, and we have some all-new gameplay for it. So let's go ahead and flip on over here and see some of this new gameplay. There's some flickering going on with their camera. That is definitely their camera work. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about that, and there it kind of stops. So you see we get into the gameplay here, and the flickering comes back again. This has to do with shutter speed, and the people recording didn't really adjust things properly, but it does look to me like the game is running a little bit smoother than when I played it at PAX West. Wouldn't be surprised if this is a slightly newer build. They did delay the game, and I'm guessing the game was delayed due to performance issues, especially with all the feedback coming out of places like Gamescom and PAX West, that, yeah, the game maybe needed more time to cook, especially for Nintendo fans that are a bit used to a higher level of polish, at least with their exclusive games from Nintendo. I know, Pokemon notwithstanding, but for the most part, Nintendo's games come in a highly polished format. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which comes out this week, its reviews dropped today, and yeah, one consistent thing across all reviews is that the game is extremely polished, and that's what Nintendo fans expect. So when you see a game like this where, yeah, it's fine, but it's got a few issues here and there with some of the frame rate, Yeah, it's good to see delayed. This is, again, running better than it was back when I played it at PAX West, but ready for prime time yet? That I don't know. That's going to be up to the eye of the beholder. But I wanted to just show that there's an updated build out there. Also, I felt like we should go over to Switch Corner and check out his little comparison video on the Red Dead Redemption 2 upgrade and how it's like a huge performance update. This is really the Switch 2 upgrade, I should say, not Red Dead Redemption 2. So it goes over like what is Red Dead Redemption, how was it on Switch 1. You can kind of see some of the Switch 1 footage here. Look, Red Dead Redemption 1 is fine on Switch 1. It was a perfectly enjoyable experience, but now we're on Switch 2 and we want something new. So head on over to the Switch 2 version, and you get to see some of the new stuff, some of the better lighting and shadow work, the higher resolution, the frame rate improvements. All of this is just really nice to see on Switch 2. Again, taking one of the highest rated video games of all time and just giving it a nice overlook for Switch 2. And you can see some of the visual improvements here. And then, I like when they do this like a little side by side and go back and forth with the visuals. Again, this is not something that's like a massive step forward. We're not talking about something that most people are going to be like, oh man, if I didn't own this on Switch 1, I better run out and buy it right now for Switch 2. It's more of just a nice upgrade for those that have the version of the game. Then the frame rate test, this is where things really stand out. On Nintendo Switch, you can see it's at 30, but like the frame pacing and the frame rate isn't like consistent. It's got like these little jabs and jarbs. And then when you get over to the Switch 2 version, it's literally at a constant 60 FPS, double the frame rate. This is really the big upgrade here. This is the reason to play it on Switch 2, is that capped 60 FPS, which is just beautiful. Obviously, they have other frame rate tests going on where they're trying to sync it and trying to do things, and honestly, the frame rate just doesn't move. So look, this is nothing but good news. Now, on PlayStation 5, I think there's some caveats here just to note. Certain elements aren't coming over. Example, like you can't transfer your trophies and stuff. It's really weird. The PlayStation 5 version really feels like a big letdown, I gotta be honest. But the Switch 2 version, where we don't have some of the features of PlayStation, is fine. So, I don't know, was Switch 2 like the target for this? Beats the hell out of me. Next up, though, we got to talk about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. It does come out this week, and the reviews are in, and we have 69 nice reviews counted over here at Metacritic, and we're seeing it's at an 81. Now, obviously, there's no user scores yet. The game hasn't come out yet, so you can't even have user scores yet. That said, you can see that for the most part, it's really, really positive reviews. Let's see if we can get this to sort here. They're not available for Switch 2 yet, apparently. That's interesting, considering that I was just looking at this page earlier and it was working. There we go. All right, so we can go to like the mixed reviews, and we'll see like a 73 by GameStar. No quote there. GamePro Germany, Metroid Prime 4 is a fun mix of action and puzzle, but severely hampered by some modern design decisions, apparently. Games Radar with the 70 say Metroid Prime 4 is finally here after an 18-year wait. At its best moments, it feels like no time has passed at all, as I'm awed by the melancholy and mysterious vibes of this exploration-focused FPS, but at many other moments, it's bogged down by odd new features that detract from what's almost one of Samus's best, being so close to greatness. Let's see here. Can sometimes be bittersweet through it all. Metro Game Central, almost exactly what the fans didn't want from a new Metroid Prime. Gameblog FR, Metroid Prime 4 is undeniably a strong entry. It captures the core elements that made the franchise a classic 18 years ago while adding a few new twists. The joy of revisiting those nostalgic sensations in fresh adventures is undeniable, but it also works against the game. Unlike Metroid Dread, it says here, which successfully modernized the series formula, Metroid Prime 4 plays it safe, sticking the familiar without taking bold risks. Beyond a few new abilities, features like the desert setting and the motorcycle feel lackluster, and it's more linear. Guided design feels like it's a step back from previous entries. However, Metroid Prime 4 still stands out as a highly enjoyable adventure, and arguably one of the most visually impressive games on Switch 2. Its stunning visuals and hauntingly beautiful soundtrack are sure to leave a lasting impression. They gave that a 70. Feels like they're 10 points too low based on what they said there, but hey, everyone's entitled to their thing. Then we get to the lowest of the low reviews here. Which one do we want to stick with? How about just Eurogamer in general? Metroid Prime 4 is enjoyable enough, and half glimpses of a vintage Metroid shining through. This game could and should have been so much more. Video Game Chronicle, Metroid Prime 4 feels like a game stuck between two worlds when it's emulating previous entries. Beyond is a blast with excellent boss battles and some truly gorgeous environments to explore. This is eventually bogged down by out-of-place additions, awkward storytelling, and overly aggressive hand-holding that spoils the discovery. Now, obviously, those are all on the negative end. We obviously like to read the positive reviews as well. So we have 100 different Nintendo rows saying Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is without a doubt a return that the fans of the saga have been waiting for almost a decade. Retro Studios has perfectly balanced the classic essence of Metroid Prime with innovations that revitalize the experience. PC Mags over here with 100 saying gorgeous, highly entertaining, and a thrill to unravel. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Switch is the best single-player shooter in years and a triumph for gaming's coolest heroine. Giant Bomb with 100 as well. Despite a few tweaks and new features, motion control, psychic powers, a non-linear hub world, and occasional side character, this is Metroid Prime through and through. It's without a doubt the closest the series has ever felt to the original Metroid Prime in terms of tone, gameplay, and quality. Time will tell where I place Metroid Prime 4 in the ranking of the overall series, but fresh off my first playthrough, I felt comfortable putting it among the likes of Super Metroid and the original Metroid Prime. It is the best Switch 2 title yet, and I've yet to imagine that fans of the series will find themselves captivated by Metroid Prime 4. You've seen some 95s, Level Up, Nintendo Life with a 90. So lots of positive reviews, certainly way more positive than negative, but the negative reviews do weigh in there. And so you end up obviously with that meta score of an 81. Now look, none of this represents my thoughts on the game. I have no idea. I'm excited. Everything I've seen about the game has been pretty hype. Even Miles McKenzie doesn't bother me, but I understand that it might bother some people. And look, we just don't know until the game's in my hands. I'll be playing the game on Thursday, probably on a live stream, so you guys can tune in then. Next up, we have a story on Dragon Drive getting a demo. So this comes from Nintendo themselves, and Nintendo Switch 2 delivers a free demo for Dragon Drive and adds a new way to play called Demon Chase, which is a tag mode in the game via a free update. And there's also an online event scheduled for December 14th. Now, updating the game, you figure, should be pretty straightforward, but people don't always update their games the way they should. So this update must be applied in order to use the game's internet features. So the Nintendo Switch Online membership is required. Save data will still be available. The update will download and install automatically if the console is connected to the internet. So I just wanted to let people know that, like, hey, if you own the game, it should update automatically. If not, tap on it. It should prompt you to update. Look, guys, I'm happy they're adding a new mode to the game. Seeing these free updates be added is just nothing but a value add to a game that some people felt was a little lacking in content at launch. So free updates are great. Next up, we have a new trailer, the final story really today, a new trailer for Pokemon Legends EA Mega Dimension DLC. Now, I am not excited for this at all. I have no interest in the DLC. I feel like it should have been packed in with the original game, but you might feel different. You might look at this DLC and go, you know what? I felt the original game was great. I love it. This game is worth the extra $30 to get this DLC. And look, it might be your cup of tea. I'm not like the biggest Pokemon fan in the world, so I don't dive too deep into stuff and have to own everything Pokemon. I own Legends EA, but I can own that and still feel like it ain't worth spending $30 more just for what they're adding here. I do like, get leveling up from ranks Z to A. I think that's actually a really cool mechanic in the game. A nice ranking system, trying to become the very best. I like a new take on how to become the very best that ever was. But yeah, I'm just not that big into this whole Mega Dimension DLC. But some people will be. And so I wanted to make sure that we mention that there's a brand new trailer. You can go catch the full trailer, of course, down in the description with, no, or at least less compression than obviously through my video. It's available to purchase right now. Comes out on December 10th. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a blast, and I hope to catch you guys in the next video or on tonight's live stream or on the Nintendo podcast tomorrow. Yeah, we're outie. Peace.